Been at Resco for 7 years now. I'm Canadian. They came and sought me out and transferred me over. So I relocated here back in 2013. I've been a business analyst for about 20 years. Started out in a stockroom, moved on to production planning and manufacturing, and then moved on to master scheduling. And as master scheduler, that's when I was integrated with all facets of the company. So I learned the business from a business point of view rather than a role specific point of view. And after that, the business analyst role just kind of rolled out from there. Well, actually, my master scheduling role, I worked is in Canada, and I was in a telecommunications company, and we had QAD as well. I came over to Resco as a business analyst. Master scheduling skills, I guess, they were honed back in Montreal working for a company called SR Telecom. They're now defunct with the crash of the telecommunication world back in around 2000. I did the master scheduling for the entire company. So we had 4 or 5 product lines. I would take the forecast and convert it into a master production schedule. There'd be new product introduction, sales forecasts, engineering, all of the facets of the company coming in to make the decisions on what was going to go into the master production schedule. And that's how I became more rounded as a business analyst. At Resco, we got a little. Our department is very, very small. There's 3 of us right now. So we have our network engineer, we have a desktop support, and we have me, business analyst, supporting QAD. So I'm handling the day-to-day glitches with the system, people locking up their records. Obviously, that's just, we are involved in a highly customized version of QAD. Partly because we're running an older version. So I was brought in to try to bring us back to vanilla. So a lot of that is what I'm currently doing. Upgrading systems. We recently upgraded our printer software, which was archaic and just about to crash. So we partnered with Minisoft on that for their eForms product. Again, lots of customizations in the system. Every day I'm learning things I don't even know. I'll get a call from one of the users saying this particular aspect of the software is not working. I've never heard of that aspect of the software. So I have to do a deep dive to find out what was the original intention and what we can do now out of the box. Biggest value I can see right now is we're unable to upgrade. If we were running vanilla QAD, right, we could get the latest version. Currently, we're running EB2 and Standard Edition 2011. There are certain customizations in the EB2 that won't run on the Standard Edition, right? That being said, looking to upgrade to get so we can start using all of the new features that QAD is offering. They just wouldn't work. Now we have customizations in there that QAD has addressed. No longer need a customization, right? But again, we have to get the working back to vanilla before we can just transfer over. Absolutely. We've painted ourselves in a corner right now, and I'm trying to back us up. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Um, we have other products that are bolt-on because we're running such an older version of QAD. So, right, it's not available in EB2, so we branch it to a third party. There are certainly things that are available today in their dashboards that we're using third party for. On the other side of that, you get into the jack of all trades, master of none. So QAD is trying to cover everything. There's obviously going to be experts in the world that are they're going to be focused, for instance, on logistics, or they're going to be focused on sales. For instance, we interface with Salesforce, the printing software, like we mentioned with eForms. So for certain things, I'm not crazy about it. I like to have everything working from the system if the system has the capabilities. But again, you can leverage the expertise from role-specific companies do it much better as a third party. Well, in the keep it simple, stupid technique, one of the first things I would look with a third party is finding out, have they integrated with QED in the past? Does this have do we have a roadmap, or we're building this up from the bottom? It's been an issue when we haven't dealt with, when we've dealt with companies, excuse me, rather, that haven't dealt with QAD because they don't have a interface, yet other ones that have worked with QAD, the roadmap is there. It's a much quicker implementation. Well, actually, one of the things that we had implemented back in my education days, we had some repetitive business. So we implemented the advanced repetitive module using cumulative work orders. Rather than having to open up a work order every time you were going to do something, you just basically captured your work over the month. You had a cumulative work order that was basically it captured all, as I said, sorry, it captured everything that you did during the month. And we have a lot of repetitive products at QAD. Um, we do not have the advanced repetitive module, but I'm looking to get that for our current version because we were able to leverage it back in the 90s at SR Telecom, and we have an opportunity at Resco. We have one plant. All they do is roll out basically two products in high volume, and we have these work orders that are open. We have build changes that are really, really hard to manage. Where I think the advanced repetitive would be a really good option for this. We take a little bit of the focus off work order management and stick with mass producing these two products. If you're referring to the advanced repetitive, I would say the high volume, low product mix. You're constantly building out end items that need your work orders to be able to produce them. But in the case of, again, this one plant we have, they produce two items, right? It's continuous, right? So that is I think it's a perfect candidate for the advanced repetitive. Lots of discrete little work orders for different end items. I don't find it to be a candidate. From a purchasing standpoint, we had EDI set up with our suppliers that we would send out our purchase requirements on Monday morning, right? They would come back with their quotes vetted by Wednesday. Um, it was a really, really good system as back in the SR Telecom days. It was pretty world class, and hell, I was the master scheduler, so we made sure that the plan that went in on Sunday night. That's one of the problems with the high speed of EDI is garbage in, garbage out. So you might find yourself bringing in $1 million of inventory that you didn't really need because you didn't look at what you were doing. That being said, if you have tight gates around what you're doing and you have confidence in your plan, that was one way we were able to leverage QAD with using EDI. It took a lot of, it left the buyers to manage negotiations, late orders, vendor performance, things like that, rather than just sitting there cutting POs all the time. Again, I would say that they have to have, they have to be on top of their plan. One of the things MRP, ERP is a high-speed idiot, right? So if you're going to run your MRP on Sunday night and Monday morning, you don't have the confidence in it. Uh, you need to get there first before you can leverage EDI. Um, it's just the communication is too quick, and before you know it, it's unmanageable. Um, you have to have good forecasting. We don't currently at Resco. We don't use forecasting. We use some strategic inventory at the raw materials because we don't forecast. So it's not necessarily a good fit there. The process absolutely has to come first. I wouldn't say that I never had to rerun the plan back in the SR Telecom days. Certainly that was a case. But if you don't have the process tight, then you're not going to reap any of the benefits. My teacher back, John Proud from the Oliver White Institute, just used to call it the high-speed idiot. Right? It's great, but it can also paint you a new. Yeah, just that ERP is all about communication, and I know there are some, as a business analyst, world ever changing, and dealing with people that don't want change. You just need to get across that the communication from the ERP system, makes this everything move at a much quicker rate. Although it might add 5 minutes to your task, right? Downstream for executive management, if manufacturing is trying to talk to purchasing, right? This all happens real time. I mean, there's a lot of people that their ERP system is an Excel spreadsheet. Uh, that data is old the moment you save the file, right? You move anything you add to it. So with the ERP, I mean, you really want to leverage the real-time communication that goes throughout the organization, the engineering, the executive staff, purchasing, manufacturing. That's where I am with ERP. Well, I am the liaison, right, from the user group to the technical team. Um, Hopefully, if I can get to where I want to, the need for the technical team is not as much of a requirement as it was. Back in the green screen of QAD, you couldn't make a change on the visual with the programmer. Now with the browsers, these are customized on the fly, right? Certainly with the newer versions of QAD, the user tools that are coming out, right? The need for the IT side a lot less, because out of the box, you have these tools. You just need to teach the users how to use them. So, me, like, I'm the liaison. What we had in the past at Resco, well, we had so many, have anybody in my role. So we had a user say this, and then we had the programmer saying, I think he meant this, and this is what we ended up with, right? That was now a user will come to me and says, okay, do you think we can so that I can get this type of well, it actually offers it in the box. It's always been there. We've just never exploited. Absolutely. For the most part, it's education. QAD is huge. Its capabilities are endless, but people don't know that they'll just take frown on it and say, I work at the corporate office. We have 12 plants, mostly in Northeast. And I don't hear a peep from anybody until I go on site. Out of sight, out of mind. The moment I step on site, people will start saying, how do this, a little more efficiently? And it just blows my mind that some of the things that people do on a day-to-day basis, that out of the box QAD, you can automate, right? So that type of thing. So that's one of the things I deal with my boss. I said, I know I'm corporate. I said, but I do a lot more good on the ground at our manufacturing facilities. When they see me, we get so much more done. Well, well, I don't know that it's necessarily across the board. Certainly in refractory, where Resco is, there's a lot of old school, right? And they're transitioning now because the old school is the old school and the new is coming in, but they're being trained by the old school. So they don't know that the capabilities are there. But the younger teams that are coming in now are a lot more inquisitive. Uh, they don't pick up the phone, they don't send the email, but when they see me walk by, right? So we sit down for 10 or 15 minutes, and it's like, I'll save them 3, 4, 5 hours a week just with a 15-minute conversation, only because they didn't know the capabilities of QAD. It is really mind blowing. I don't want to be condescending to anybody. It's like, how could you be doing this? If you're doing something repetitively every day, there's no thought process. This is just something you do. You flick this switch at 3 p.m. every Tuesday. We could probably automate that switch to be flicked 3 p.m. on Tuesday, right? Yeah. Well, obviously, I have a boss. There's going to be that aspect of it, right? But there's the financial ramifications. There's the nice to haves. It's not really going to change the bottom line. Um, been working on a particular hundreds of thousands of dollars of raw material. Our raw material is dirt, right? So we have this various types of dirt that we blend together in a formula and make the refractory products. A lot of the equipment is old. The silos where we keep the equipment, they leak, right? When you get transferred, just the vibration of the forklift, stuff falls on the floor. So what we weren't able to do is to figure out where this was happening. We knew it was happening, so we put in a bunch of milestones to be able to clock in and clock out to say, well, where's the loss happening? Right? We went from A to B, but there might be 5 days of happened from A to B, and we weren't tracking those. So that was, hundreds of $1,000s of raw material you're losing. That was a high hitter. So that was a drop what you're doing, Jamie, and let's see what we can do about fixing this. Right. Well, first of all, Steve, I'm from a manufacturing environment, so your statement of a real good sales guy, no, I'm just kidding. Got that from the interview. um, some of it is, again, the big hitters, obviously, they support themselves, but also the low hanging fruit, right? It's if I can knock this out of the park, with no effort, and it's going to satisfy a bunch of people's needs. Maybe not so much on the bottom line, but just making their day a little more pleasant. Um, that's an easy one just to get off the back burner. The other ones, well, uh, just put a business. I mean, if it's going to take me, um, months and months of preparation to implement, really not going to hit the bottom line. It's not making any. I'm going to push back on that and say we. That's how I would use it to prioritize. It's going to be. It's good. I guess it's going to be financial. Then it's going to be the user experience, right? And low hanging fruit, we can always just throw those in between the cracks. I'm not sure if that answered your question. It's my pleasure, Stephen.